Since the unlucky fox was bullied by Neil and the wild geese, he hasn't been lucky anymore. Since then, he hasn't even managed to get any more food. He has even become very thin. One day the fox was trying to eat a pine nut. The magpie stood above him and teased him. "Ha, ha! Everyone take a look at this. The fox is eating a pine nut." But the magpie went a little over her limit. The fox threw the pine nut away and attacked the magpie. He used his paws to hold the magpie down and said, "Long-tailed magpie, you came at the right time. It has been days since I've had anything to eat, but it would be great if you had a little more meat on you." "Ha, ha." The magpie tried to struggle and then begged, "You're my closest buddy, please let me go. I'll tell you some great news." The fox didn't really want to take the time to listen to her. Then he said, "Say it quickly, or I'll just swallow you now." Then she said, "I heard that Oscar and the wild geese are heading towards the Renibia River." Smear replied rudely, "Why didn't you tell me earlier? You useless bird." He pushed her away and hurried toward the river. Before the sun set, Smear came across the geese. There was a sandy beach by the cliff of the riverbank, and the geese were all resting there. They looked so big and fat. He thought, "If I get down now, I can treat myself with a good meal." He felt hungry even when thinking about it. But the riverbank was high and slippery. There weren't any plants or rocks for him to hold on to and get down. He looked around and just wandered around looking for a way to get down as he was starving. Suddenly, the fox realized that there was something moving behind him. He cautiously listened carefully and turned around. It was actually a mink standing behind him. He slid down on the smooth branch and got down the tree, holding a half-death plum bird. The fox admired the mink's techniques to climb trees. He shouted, "Stop, dear Mr. Mink. If I were you, I wouldn't be wasting my time on that tiny little bird. See there, the beach not far from here, that should be your dinner." The mink didn't even look up and acted like he wasn't even listening to him. He finished eating the prey and answered unwillingly, "If there was something so good to eat, you would have been the first one down there, not me." But the fox licked his mouth and said, "I've already had some of them myself, and I'm full now." So then the mink turned to take a look at the beach. There really were some geese there. The snowy white ones stood out among the others. So the mink lingered towards the riverbank, staring at them sharply. The fox was thrilled, even if he didn't get to eat the wild geese. But just knowing that the mink had attacked them, he would be satisfied. He held his breath and waited. After a while, he heard a water dripping sound, and then it sounded like as if a big rock was thrown into the water, then followed by some sound like wings clapping on the water. Several of the geese were all up in the air, and none were caught. The fox was mad at the blundering mink. Again they all got away, he thought to himself. The mink climbed up the riverbank, all wet and pulling his heavy tail on the ground behind him. He said, "I was getting very close to the white goose, but then a rock came out of nowhere and hit me and I fell down into the water. How can geese throw rocks? I would have never believed it until today." Of course the wild geese couldn't have thrown the rock. Only the fox knows that it was Nils' work. But he didn't want to take the time to explain all of this, so he rushed to catch up with the geese again. The wild geese followed the winding river and flew ahead. The water was crystal clear, raging and flowing down below. Not far away there was a huge rock in the middle of the river at the top of a waterfall. The water rushed by the rock very swiftly there, before it went over the fall. Oscar asked the geese to stay on the rock by the waterfall as it was safe there. They fell asleep with the good feeling that the water was protecting them. The fox followed them until he got there, and saw the geese resting. There was no way for him to get out there, and he felt sad about it. He thought to himself, "This tricky female goose, she is smart in choosing places." He just stood there without any idea about what to do. Then a noise came from the water. "What's wrong, friend? Why are you standing still?" The fox shivered for a bit and carefully looked at the forest around him. Suddenly, an otter put his head out from the water, and the fox said happily, "My dear friend, can't you see the tasty meal within your reach?" pointing at the rock nearby. The otter glanced at it and didn't say anything. He quickly jumped back into the water. The fox was jealous to see the otter swimming towards the geese with his strong and big tail. The water was swift and raging. The otter was almost washed away by the strong current of the water. Finally, he reached his destination and climbed onto the rock. "Go and catch! Quickly catch!" was the words the fox thought to himself. Suddenly, the otter screamed out loud, and then he slipped and fell into the water. He twirled some, and then swam with all his might to shore so that he wouldn't go over the waterfall. At the same time, the group of geese flew off into the sky. "He deserved that," said the fox, being totally irritated at him. He almost tripped on something and it turned out to be Otter. The fox scolded him. "You're useless." The otter held his feet and started to weep and said, "I was already holding one leg of the goose, but suddenly I felt a tiny sharp thing poking on my foot. Look at this cut, it's bleeding." Of course, this is again the little man's work. After saying that, the fox took off after the geese again. As it started to get night, the geese saw a hill from afar, and they used all their energy to fly towards the top of the hill. Smear also ran towards the hill, but by the time he reached there, the geese were already resting and sleeping. As he stood by the cliff right opposite were the geese on the other cliff. He was really frustrated and thought to himself, "Even if I don't get to enjoy eating all of you, I won't let you have a good rest." He squatted down and started to shout and roar. He also tried to make noise, growling and snapping his teeth and patting his tail on the ground. The echo in the cliffs was loud enough to wake the geese up. They were all frightened. Then, Oscar told them, "All is safe here. Go back to sleep." The geese were too tired to worry about it, so they went back to sleep. Oscar went to the edge of the cliff and told the fox, "Smear, why are you wandering here?" The fox quickly replied, "Respected Oscar, do you want me to guard all of you tonight? We can stop the mink and otter from disturbing you. I'm afraid you won't have a good rest." Oscar then asked, "So this means they were sent by you?" "That's right, I sent them. Although we've had some hard feelings, but that is past now, and I'm ready to settle with you, if you're willing to pass me that little man there. I'll let all of you have a peaceful life from now on, I promise you." Then Oscar said firmly, "No way, don't even think about getting the boy." The fox then angrily got up and said, "Okay, you listen to me. As long as I'm still able to move, all of you don't even think about living peacefully anymore. This is a promise.